Hey guys, Happy New Year's! Blessing to you and your family. I hope 2026 brings you nothing but success in everything you do. And now, the series that defined a generation has finally come to an end. The journey of Mike, Elle, and the gang is over, leaving us with some incredible emotional moments, some shockers, and yeah, a few weird ones. But the heart of the character was always there. However, the ending took on a turn that, to my surprise, made the show super controversial. We went from a modern sci-fi masterpiece to people losing their minds over one specific scene. Homophobia? Seriously? Did the show suddenly become propaganda and stop being sci-fi? In this video, I'm giving you an objective look at whether the Stranger Things actually went to a trash or not. A spoiler alert, people are idiots. To start, we had to ask, where did these hate trains even come from? Why do people suddenly dogpile on a show? At the start of the month, we saw the same nonsense with Avatar being called a failure. Reporter kept asking James Cameron what he'd do if it flopped. If it's a genius like him cares. Surprise! Avatar 3 is already closing in on a billion at the box office. Now look at how weird this is with the Stranger Things. Right when the scene with willpower became the most epic talk about things for weeks. His confession scene happens, and suddenly the whole show is trash. Now people are claiming it's not just that scenes. They're saying the show was mid overall, or too simple. They're just parroting the same talking points with no real genuine critique. And I had to wonder, yeah, there's clearly some homophobia at play here, but is someone paying people to repeat the exact same scripts? Why does everyone suddenly hate the Stranger Things? The finale gives us some legendary moments, but it's also very introspective. Take the Nancy and Jonathan scenes, it was deep, and it even ended their relationship. Nancy has always been this empowered, wise spirit, and you can't critique that. But most people don't even know what they're watching. Then you got Max and Lucas in the hospital chase. Both scenes give you a goosebumps, but at the climax you kind of know they're safe because of the trailer and the narrative tropes. You know someone's coming to the rescue. And honestly, that is a valid criticism. In the final stretch, the stake didn't always feel life and death. Still, the execution was solid. If you loved this character, you felt that tension, even if just for a second. There were of moments like this, Dustin and Steve, but a moment that felt even more anticlimactic than Will's confession was the Jonathan and Steve reconciliation. It made sense for the story, but it dragged on. They were rivals turned alike, and while they didn't need to be besties, that bond was necessary to fight Vecna. Still, the scene just didn't land for me, and they barely interacted after that. That scene you can actually criticize for being too long. But guess what? Most people don't have their own opinion. They just repeat what they hear. Of course, there were intimate moments that actually hit. Dustin's speech, Mike's apologue, and that moment between Hooper and Mike. Hooper telling Mike he has two choices. Let himself be destroyed by L death. We'll get to that, take it easy, or keep moving forward coming from a man who has lost everything that was powerful. The character growth was real. Now let's talk about the deal breaker. Will confession. Like I said, the previous episode were 10 out of 10 masterpiece. Will finally has his power, but suddenly it's trash because he's gay? Really? I think a lot of people hide their homophobia by saying it didn't make sense to do right before the final battle. Look, if you didn't like the scene, fine, but don't talk no sense. The show literally established that when Vecna infected Will again, he weaponized his deepest fear, which is why Will couldn't use his power in the final battle. That's why he had to let it out. So you can dislike the scene, but saying the whole show collapsed because of it when there's a clear narrative reason is just stupid. You could argue it was too long or point out that even the actor and director said it was a tough scene to get right. Fine, but for me, it's work. I love the detail. Will hands trembling, the raw emotion. Was it a big loan? Yeah, did I care? Not at all. What I didn't do was make sick videos claiming the show failed because of it. Some creators didn't just say they disliked the scene, they started hating the entire season out of nowhere. Honestly, screw you. There's so much hidden bias in those reviews. And yeah, there's some wokeness, if you want to call it that, but nobody complains about. Empower Nancy. Instead, they go for the low hanging fruit. Suddenly, a season that everyone loved 2 weeks ago always sucks and had plot holes. It's a total madness. Draw the comment and let me know what you think. Now for the epic stuff. Elle versus Vecna. The assault on the Upside Down. It ends with a Kylie's death. And let's be real, most people hated her character, so it felt kind of liberating. But then social media blew up again. Since when it happy ended a bad tent, only a few shows had the guts to kill off their leaks. Welcome to Derry did it, and even that show isn't perfect. It got slow toward the end, and that scene where Leroy shot it in the head to stun him for 10 minutes was ridiculous. Because, so the loser just needs gun this whole time? How didn't they think of that? Because they're stupid. Every show has a flaw. Welcome to Derry is not the section. You can see my full review on the channel and talk about flaws. And the other dimension, yeah, the lack of the Demogorgon was a bit of a letdown, but in exchange we got that massive final boss. The CGI was incredible, a straight up movie quality. You couldn't spot the green screen here and there, but for TV, it was top tier. I take that giant monster over the few Demogorgons any day. Vecna was brutal. His death was satisfying. He didn't fall into the redemption arc cliche, and they even tried. He stayed evil until the end. It was medieval justice. Even Joy hesitated, but Vecna was pure malice, and I love that. Now the big question. Did 11 actually die? This is the most controversial part for me, and personally, I hate open endings. Here, it doesn't feel clever, it feels lazy. Just commit. Did she die or not? Leaving it to the audience feels like a cop out. Logic wise, Callie survived for 20 minutes after being shot so Elle can escape? I don't buy it. The lab collapses, Elle should be crushed instantly. The show contradicts its own logic just to force an open ending, and that is a legitimate plot hole. In the end, the audience decides. Her friends believe she is alive, making it bittersweet. If she's dead, it's a hero sacrifice. If she's alive, it's still sad because she'll never had a normal life with his friends. And the series ends with these Dungeon and Dragons scenes Will wrote, which make people think that the whole thing was a game. But I think that's just an Easter egg, so calm down. Please, many think the spin-off will be about Will's sister, but the Duffer brothers say it'll be something totally different. The show has flaws, obviously, but the execution of this final season was outstanding. It was emotional, and that what counts. You aren't sitting there thinking this is garbage while you watch it. The ending breaks your heart regardless. For me, it's a bittersweet happy ending. 80% happy. You don't need a total bloodbath for a final to be good. I'm giving the series an 8 out of 10. Both the season and the show as a whole are sci-fi classic that stopped the landing, even if a hate trend is trying to overshadow it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Check it out my Welcome to the review to compare, and I'll see you in the next one. And guys, Happy New Year, Happy 2026, and see you in Welcome to Darren. Bye bye.